Hello, lovely people. Welcome to another episode of the Living in Fullness podcast. I am your lovely host, Naki, Hlomayi, Muteto, and the Muteto to my name is here with me today. Mr. Muteto, welcome, baby.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here, Mrs. Muteto.
Thank you. I'm so excited to have you here. So I think last time I brought my husband, we were speaking about waiting. I always avoid bringing him because we speak a lot and I feel like there's nothing we're going to speak on camera that's so different and it's going to feel different. So I'm really excited about today's episode because we are speaking about communication, right? And communication is a topic that you just never get enough of, you know? We hear a lot about it. I mean, we did premarital counseling about 3 times. Yeah. We did post marital counseling about a number of times. And every time you hear about communication, it's sort of very new. It never sounds the same. No matter how long you've been married, no matter how many times you've heard about it. So I'm really excited for us to dig deeper into communication, what it really is, our experiences with communication, what it also means, right? Being 2 people in the corporate world and trying to chase their careers at the peak of it. So I'm really excited to engage in that conversation. But before then, I'm going to allow you to say hi to everybody. And then we are going to do like an icebreaker.
Okay, hello everybody. So glad to be here and looking forward to the conversation. Communication is so simple, because we're born communicating, but when you actually get married, you realize how challenging and difficult it could be. So happy to just share, little nuggets that we've received in our journey, and the journey we're still going, we're still learning. Right? Yeah. So happy to be here and happy to see you guys. It's been a while.
It's really exciting. I mean, it's been a while for me as well, but maybe this episode is going to be after the first one.
Okay.
Yeah. We are ready to get into it. Let's start with our icebreakers. So what we're doing is we're playing this word game. My husband said at some point I wanted to play it, so I don't know, but it's a word game that we're going to play.
You always love playing games.
So I'm going to give him a word, and then he's going to say a sentence, and then he gives me a word, and then I have to say a sentence that connects to his sentence, if that makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay. What word do you have for me?
Oh. All right. So the first word that I have for you is bowl.
Bowl?
Yeah.
Like a football?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I woke up this morning and oops, I kicked a ball.
Wow, baby. Okay. Good one. What word do you have for me?
Okay. The word I have for you is Olympics.
Yeah. So then at the Olympics, did you actually see how they were playing ball?
Okay. No, that's not the way it works.
No.
You're supposed to say, I woke up this morning, right? You say my sentence and then you add your word, make another thing. It should be like joining thing.
Okay, so I woke up this morning and oops, I kicked a ball at the Olympics.
Okay, nice.
My word for you is pray.
Ooh. I woke up this morning and oops, I kicked a ball at the Olympics. Geez, I need to get on my knees and pray.
Wow, babe. This gets harder. I didn't think this is how it works. Okay. What's your word for me?
Okay, my word for you is affirmation.
What? I woke up in the morning and oops, I kicked a ball at the Olympics. And I need to get on my knees and pray. What was the word?
Affirmation.
And I actually need to give more people affirmations because not many people can play ball.
Oh, nice. Nice.
I think we're done. We're done, guys. We're done. I didn't know this is how it's supposed to go. But anyway, let's get into the episode, right? Yeah. I sort of did give an introduction about what we're going to speak about today, and I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to have you on, baby. It's always nice to have conversations with you. And I think what makes our marriage interesting, right, is we always have conversation. We've been together for 10 years, married for 5, and we're always speaking, right? And when I thought about today's episode, how it actually happened was we have Married People's Connect, right, that we lead.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of amazing couples on it. And we've been going through this Married People's devotion. It's such a great devotion that my husband found for us. And one of the topics that came up recently was communication. And when we were having the conversation, I was like busy taking notes because these are some amazing points that we're coming up with here.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a great way to share with other married couples, but to actually come on here and share on communication. So, baby, tell us a bit about what communication means to you. Take us in.
Okay. Maybe just to start off with the game that we played, that's literally a demonstration of what communication is. Yes, it's fun.
Yeah.
Right. It was a fun game, but it's me speaking to you, right? You listening to what I'm saying, right? And you being able to understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Effectively. So effectively, that's just a simple illustration of what communication is.
Yeah.
But, I guess we all born communicating, right? As babies, we come out of the womb literally crying, saying, I'm here, I've arrived. And before even words are formed, right? As babies, we will cry, we'll do certain things to get the attention of our caregivers, be it our parents or whoever is there in the home, in order to communicate that I'm hungry, I want to sleep, So it is something natural, right? To communicate. However, as I mentioned earlier, when you get married or in any relationship, it's not so simple. Right? It's not so simple. But, communication is basically the foundation of any relationship or any marriage, right? It's the glue that keeps everything together. So money, sex, having fun, all these things are good. But if you're not communicating, right, then what's the point of all that? I mean, you find couples who are very successful on the outside, married for 20 years. Once the kids go, it just seems dead because maybe they're not communicating, not getting each other. They feel they've lost each other. Basically because they're not expressing, their love through communication. So communication is effectively the way we express our love for each other. And I guess we'll get into more of the detail as the conversation keeps going.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, babe. I like when you say that it's the foundation, right? Because it's the foundation. And normally when a lot of things are going bad, right, you don't see it on the foundation.
Yeah.
You see the cracks in every other areas or other aspects of your life. So be it the doors, the windows, the floor. So you find people arguing about money, about kids, about careers, about family, about friends. But the basis, the root is actually how you communicate. And another thing that for me that's important about communication is it's not just about blunt honesty.
That's true.
Communication is truth, but also truth that is being said in a loving way. So it matters a lot what you say, how you deliver it, in what tone, because then it's not just a matter of I have communicated with my partner. I'm always pointing things out. I'm always giving my views, but it's in how you do it. At what point do you actually do it?
That's true.
So when you find certain areas of your marriage just not adding up, ask yourself, have we been communicating? Have we been having enough time for each other? Have we been hearing each other?
That's true.
Right? So I think that's an important aspect that you're bringing as well. Yeah. So I think for me as well, when I'm looking at some of the ways that people also communicate, right, I've noticed that when we are dating, right, we have such a great way of communicating. We have a way that we don't get bored, it's those moments of, oh, no, you hang up. No, you hang up.
Always want to say more, eh?
So
always get the last word in.
So I think for me, that's where I find that when you get married, I think the moment you stop caring, no matter what you try to do in your marriage, when you stop caring,
that's true.
Like it just won't work. Because the reason why someone who loves you communicates how they feel or communicates what they want you to change or areas they want you to change, it's actually because they notice that they care a lot about the marriage. They care a lot about seeing you succeed. They care a lot about seeing you hanging around people that actually edify you as well, right? And whilst I'm on that, it's reminding me as well of how communication shapes, like it's shaped by our experiences, it's shaped by our background, it's shaped by things that we've gone through.
That's true.
movies as well, people that surround us. A lot of things shape how we view communication. It's how we respond to communication as well as how we communicate, right? So from the receiving end as well as from the giving end, it shapes us a lot, because when I'm looking at myself, I'm coming from a family of girls, right? 4 girls, and 5, including my mom, and we are very close. We're always communicating.
That's true.
We communicate about everything. We share everything. I love my sisters. I'm always on my sister's side, but it also doesn't stop me from correcting them when they're wrong.
That's true.
So naturally, getting married, I was that girl who's always able to say to my husband, I think that's not right. I don't think that's going to work for you. Or I think you need to communicate with this person this way, because I felt like maybe you're not treating them as they deserve to be treated, or you're seeing it from the wrong perspective, because I also believe so much that love corrects, right? Love is truthful. You can be truthful without hurting the other person, right? So I think that as well shaped a lot of my experiences. How did it shape you?
Yeah, so with regarding my experiences and I guess my personality, one thing that comes to mind is how my experiences have shaped my innate personality of trying to avoid conflict, and how that then results in poor communication from my side, especially when we got married, right? So I'm the firstborn, right? And a lot of pressure then, comes with being a firstborn. And, you're always trying to seek...
We are actually firstborn.
Trying to seek my parents' approval and not trying to mess up. So that means that growing up, I would always try, if I've got bad news, I always try to delay not communicating it. Or something happens, like a certain way, like, my parents would tell me, hey, you need to man up and just get on with it. So that then made me learn to sweep things under the rug, right? But then now getting married, that doesn't work. You can't delay communicating something. So in trying to avoid conflict, or not even just communicating at all, because then it ends up in the conflict, which I was trying to avoid in the first place. Because like, but why didn't you just tell me this? It might be something so simple, but you'd be like, but why didn't you? Why you don't even understand why I couldn't tell you something so simple? In my mind, I'm trying to delay conflict. It even ends up being worse than the conflict I imagined, because of me my innate personality of being an avoider and trying to delay, trying to sweep things under the rug and, just skirting around the issues. So, which I guess conflicts what you just shared in terms of, your experiences and how it shaped your communication, right?
Yeah. But I mean, also that there were certain aspects of myself that were not really good ways of communicating as well, right? And I think this was mainly because, again, being a firstborn, but also being in a place where my parents, they always used to listen to us. But then I think there was a limit to how much I can bring out my views, right? True. And what that did for me was basically, I always used to say, when I get into my own home, I'm going to have an opinion.
Yes,
okay?
Every kid. When I grow up, you will see.
Yes, I'm telling you.
I will do it,
I was that girl. I was like, when I get into my own home, I'm going to have an opinion and I'm going to speak about how I feel. Nobody's going to stop me from speaking. And contrary to you, for us growing up, it wasn't because I'm the firstborn, I have a view. For me, I wasn't really a firstborn because my aunt was basically the firstborn, right? So I barely had views. And over time, my parents had to learn. So growing up and then getting married, I got into the marriage saying, you're not going to come and be my dad again. You're not going to come and be my mom and tell me do this, do that. I have a view. I have an opinion. And I had to learn that there's nothing wrong with that. It's in how.
That's
right.
True.
It's on how you deliver the message, because the intention behind it was to say, I'm in my own home and you're not going to tell me what to do. But then because the intention is wrong, the delivery is wrong, right? So I had to learn how to deliver my message at what point, in what tone as well. And even to what you were saying about sweeping things under the rug, what it reminds me of is there's someone we were listening to the other time, and they said, offense, it was actually yesterday.
Yeah.
Offense is like a brick, right? And the more it grows, it builds a wall, right?
Yeah.
And that wall is what becomes bitterness, what becomes unforgiveness, right? So you struggle to basically speak to each other. You now have a wall. You don't hear each other. Every time you're speaking at each other and you're not speaking to each other. So I'm not listening to you. You're not listening to me. We're just delivering messages that are ending on this wall, you know? So one, it's important to be able to address things as and when they go, which will touch on passive aggression much later on, right? And I think another thing that I had to learn on my end was it's important to understand the message and the intentions behind what somebody is saying. I want to be always try to assume the best of your partner.
That's true.
Because they want what's best for you.
That's true.
Right? So there are certain things that, you can end up focusing so much on, did you just say, I always do this? Did you just say, I never do this? But you're really not focusing on what needs to be said. When we're doing premarital, one of the counselors said, with women, listen to the last sentence. She actually says, she can tell you that you always leave me at home, you know, you never buy me flowers. The point is, I want you to be buying me flowers. Actually, that you never leave me at home is now what she feels out of aggression or anger or being in her emotions. But her point is actually, you just never buy me flowers. Maybe you need to stop buying me flowers or start holding my hand. Or, you know, whatever it is that she likes. So it's the intention behind the message.
No, that's a good point, babe, because I think the aspect of building walls and getting closed off is literally what, you know, stops effective communication in a relationship. That's because I want to get my point across. You want to get your point across. But we're not actually listening to each other. And we're missing the target, we're missing the point. There's a lot of pride involved, you know, especially in arguments now. You know, it could be, an argument could start with something so simple and you start arguing about a whole bunch of other things. And you don't even know why you're arguing in the first place. You
get to a point where I mean, we had that in our first year of marriage. Not even first year, in our first few years of marriage, okay? Now we are getting there. You know, where you get to a point where you're like, okay, what was the reason we were arguing initially? What started
this whole thing, right? What
was the actual reason?
And because you're building this wall, you keep on adding bricks and layers and layers and layers to it, and you're not able to get through to each other. So that's definitely a good point. Like that point.
And for me, it speaks into forgiveness, right? I see, one thing about me, I'm so good at forgiving. I'm not good at forgetting. I don't know if anybody forgets actually, because then how do you teach other people if you forget what you went through? I think the point is, if you can't forget, at least you can let go, right? You can get to a point where you surrender that person to God, or surrender that situation to God. I think that's one thing that you need in marriage. You need a bag of forgiveness, not necessarily a bag of forgetfulness, but a bag of forgiveness where you regularly act like a baby. You know, babies, when they fall and get up, the next minute they're laughing about something else because they forgot they actually fall and they were crying. You know, so it's important to always forgive. I want to read a verse now, actually. It's in Proverbs 16, verse 24, and it says, kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy to the body. That's Proverbs 16, verse 24. So I also had to learn, for me, I don't know what's your perspective on this, babe. I personally had to learn that God is in the business of changing people. You know, how God just reprimands us and teaches us is so much out of love that you get to learn and you get to understand. And sometimes it's not the other person who needs the changing. Sometimes it's you, right?
That's true.
Sometimes you need to look into yourself and say, what areas of myself actually need me to change? What areas of in myself need me to surrender, right? Sometimes the change doesn't necessarily look at you changing your personality or who you are, but changing how you view God and your relationship with God in your marriage, because sometimes that's where the problem is. We tend to focus so much on, God, how do I change this person? Change your son, Lord, because I can cope. So Yeah.
No, I think, just to add on to your point, definitely agree with you. In that, as people, naturally, it's easier to blame the other person, right?
Yeah.
And it's not to say that, you should overlook what the other person is doing. Definitely not to say that. I mean, if someone is stepping on you and is doing wrong by you, definitely call them out, right? But a relationship takes
two people.
Take two people, right? To, in order for your relationship to grow, two people need to come to the party. And actually, I like the example a friend of ours in Connect gave the other day, that it's being in the ring, right? Being in the ring and fighting for a relationship and fighting to grow. The moment you step out of the ring and you stop fighting, the fight is over. So what's the point, right? So in terms of self-introspection, I think that's a key point. I think in our relationship, I remember earlier on when I'd be like, God, change this to my wife, until I actually started looking at what can I change? What are the things? Focus on yourself. I remember doing this devotion that says, if both people in the marriage, right, wake up each morning and they want to outlove the other person, what kind of marriage is that going to be?
Exactly. Like you literally just wake up and say, I want to outserve my husband. The way he loved me yesterday, I want to love him more.
Yeah. Like if I wake up and I want to outdo you in love, what more? And you want to outdo me in love, where are we going to get to? Right? So if you wake up and you give me grace and I'm giving you grace, what's the end of our day going to be like, right? But if I wake up and I'm like, no, I don't like this, I don't like that, and then you also pointing out things that that I've done wrong,
don't like.
Our day is going to be sour, right?
Yeah, it's going to be sour.
It's going to be sour, right? So, and I understand some people are in very toxic relationships and toxic marriages, and sometimes it might just start with you, you start in that wave, right? You start showing the love. Your partner is actually going to realize, hopefully, hopefully if they're in touch with God, or in touch with their emotions, or just a genuine human being, they'll actually see that, I'm messing up here. What I'm doing is wrong. I need to change, right?
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of sacrifice. It takes a lot of grace. And I guess another point I also just wanted to make is, it's a journey, right? If you've got a certain habit and you need to unlearn things. We're talking about things that shaped our experiences. And like even I said, I generally try to avoid conflict. It's not a light switch that tomorrow
you're good.
I'm good, right? So it's showing grace to the other person, right? No, let's have honest, open, and transparent conversation about this, but show grace because these things take time. And also showing grace to yourself as well, because sometimes you can beat yourself up about it. But the fact that, you need to just get that point where you actively trying to put in the work, and work change doesn't happen overnight. But if you put in gradual steps, you get there. They say it takes 21 days to form a habit. It's I guess that's just it's like an analogy or a metaphor to say keep on trying something and eventually you're gonna get it, right? So not that you say in 21 days you're gonna change, right?
I think in 21, I think in 21 days you're more it's starting to become a habit. Rather than a chore. Because I think in the beginning, I was listening to this couple the other time, and the lady was speaking about how the guy never used to hold her hand in public, hold her hand, like when crossing the roads and all that stuff. She really wanted that because her love language is physical touch. She was saying that. And she says initially he would hold her hand and it felt like a chore, right, in the beginning. But then over time, it became a part of him, right? And he was actually agreeing to that over time, like now, he just finds himself holding his wife's hand. He just finds himself, stroking her hair. Like it's a lot of things that, so to your point, some things may start off as a chore. And I think that's what communication is about, right? Because even in that devotion that we were reading the other time, because they have a talk it out and a walk it out, right? So the walk it out was, go at home and just sit and look at each other's eyes and just talk, right? for about 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, 15 minutes can become your longest 15 minutes of your life if you and your partner have got nothing to speak about.
Yeah.
So I think for us, it would be so easy because we are always talking.
Yeah.
But I think it would be hard if someone says, start talking.
Yeah, like
right. And then you're like, okay, what are we talking
it's
about?
It's the thing, like it's
Yeah.
in the now you made aware of what you're doing.
Yeah.
When we're unaware, we naturally do it.
Yeah.
But now when you're more intentional, you're like, okay, what's going on? And just about even habits. I mean, I remember the story you did share about how your mom try to get you guys to say I love you, and it felt like a chore
in the beginning.
Now you literally say I love you
without thinking.
Like it's now something you
it's
do,
a part of
and
me.
you communicate you love somebody
Exactly.
naturally, right? Started out as a chore, like why do I have to tell my sister that
I love you? Like,
her?
I know it.
I know I love her, but
do I have to say
I have to say it? Right?
Now we can't end a call without saying I love you. And I actually now do it with my husband's family as well. That like I initially it was like, okay, because even at work I started doing it by mistake initially. When I told my manager after a call, I love you, and then I'm like, no, sorry, I didn't say that.
Yeah.
You know, but then just coming back, even with my husband's family, my family, which is my family. I also started doing that, right? It's funny because I was telling, like little bro, Teto's little brother, like, when you guys end the call, that's him and the two of them. When you guys end the call, you should tell each other that you love each other. And initially, I think they found it awkward, like, hey, we know we love each other. And I'm just like, tell each other, like, say it out.
Like because of that habit that you learned, like you now teaching us something good, right? So it's still work in progress with my brother and I, and she's been trying to get me to say to Dad,
yes,
Dad, I love you.
Yes, no, not on camera, only.
but yeah, I think generally as guys, it's breaking that barrier, and it's the same way in marriage. Let's bring better marriage, right? It's something that's uncomfortable, but it helps you break the barrier, just by trying something that is probably not accustomed to you, but it breaks the barrier and helps you communicate and reach your partner's heart, reach your partner's mind, get that connection with your partner, with your spouse, with your husband or your wife. And definitely it's about pushing yourself and taking yourself somewhere you've never been. I think the worst mistake you can make is say, this is where I am, this is who I am, this is how I am, accept me for who I am. Right. That's all. That's putting up a wall. We spoke about walls earlier, right? And that's, you end up not changing. There'll just be frustration. I think the moment someone accepts someone for who they are, right? It's just a disaster waiting to happen. It's only so long. It can only take so long for you to accept, something that doesn't sit well with you. So definitely putting in the work and breaking those walls is important.
Yeah. And I think there is also an environment that allows communication.
Yeah.
Right. That's how I feel, that there is an environment that allows communication. So I remember when we just got married, for example, I think my husband struggled with being vulnerable generally. Like he wouldn't say when he's sad or when he's not happy with what's happened at work. And I would be like to him, tell me what happened today. Tell me, why are you sad? Are you sad? Are you sad? Why aren't you telling me if you're sad? Yeah. Like he wouldn't express. So if someone treats him in a certain way, I was expecting, like, listen, let's talk about this person for the next hour. Yeah. Tell me what they did, how you feel, what you're going through, but he just wasn't that person, right? Yeah. And I think he was still trying to get into that, coming out of his shell and learning that, should I really share? Yeah. How's it going to look like? Will I look less of a man if I say I'm actually sad or I'm stressed? Yeah. And I think over time, he's learned to trust his wife, who he dated for 7 years. But I think like it's something that he had to learn. But also, babe, tell us a bit about how it ties to your love languages.
Okay, so communication, comes in different forms, right? So the one love language that, would probably link to spoken words is words of affirmation, right? So I guess maybe before I even get into that, right? So communication can come in, I guess, one of two ways, right? It's in the things we say, right? And it's in the things we do. Right. So now coming back to love languages, right? So words of affirmation is, if that's your love language, just saying, oh, baby, look, you did so great today. You're doing, like, I'm cheering you on, like just reminding you of how awesome you are.
Yeah, you're doing so well, baby.
Thank you. Right. That's me communicating out loud, right? And that love language would need words spoken.
Yeah.
However, the other love languages would need communication in what I do, right? To show that I love you.
Yeah.
Right. So the other forms of communication, be it acts of service, physical touch, quality time, and buying gifts for your partner, require you to act, right? So I guess the point I'm making is communication isn't just what I say; it's what I do. Right? So what I do shows that that I love you. I mean, we always talking about this. Something we always speak about, right? So what I do communicates how how much I love you, where I place you in my life, how important you are to me.
Yeah.
So these other 4 love languages, right, are a way in which I can communicate to you that I love you.
Yeah.
Effectively, right? It's communicating through my actions. So it isn't only about the words that I say, but it's just also what I do. Yeah.
I think it's I think with nonverbal communication, I struggle with nonverbal communication, but I think there are a lot of women out there, right, that communicate without communicating, and they expect the husbands to be mind readers.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of women do that.
Yeah.
Where, like, you're not happy with something. Do you think I do that sometimes? Like, where I'm not happy and I'm expecting you to figure it out.
So when it comes to nonverbal cues, I think everybody does that. Right?
Yeah.
I think, and it's something you need to actually be aware of. And a key thing that you need to pay attention to is your body language.
Yeah.
Right. So we could be having a discussion. It could be something you don't like as much. You may not be telling me you don't like it, but from your body language, that could be closed off. It could be something as me folding my hands. Just, the face that I make, I'm looking.
That's communicating.
That's communicating, right?
Yeah.
And your partner picks up on it, right? And unfortunately with this, it comes naturally. You're not even aware you're doing it. But you actually say a lot without saying something. So, and it's not just women, even men, everybody does it. Everybody does it. Some people are more expressive than others and they're not even aware of it. I think these days there's the rolling your eyes emoji.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna roll my eyes.
Yeah, women do that a lot, but I mean that's something quite clear.
I don't roll my eyes. I roll my eyes.
Do you?
You don't expose me.
Do I roll my eyes?
No.
I don't even think I know how to roll my eyes.
You don't. Maybe.
That's so bad.
No, babe, no.
Okay. Welcome back to serious business. Sorry, guys.
Cut. Okay. No, babe. You don't roll your eyes. You've been putting a face. Like, they don't be putting on a face like.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I don't even know I'm doing it. I don't even know I'm doing it, right? So naturally, even just outside, even at work, I'd be working, and when I'm thinking, I put a face on and people are like, why are you
so serious?
Why are you so serious? Why do you have such a skull face? But I'm thinking, that's my thinking face. That's my non-verbal communication saying I'm thinking right now, right? So one, it comes back to understanding, your spouse, right? Because sometimes it actually may not be a negative thing. Maybe over time, just say, okay, this is how the person processes things or understands what I'm saying. They don't mean anything bad by it, but just communicate to the person because maybe they're not aware of it. But then there are clear things a person can actually do deliberately. Like I said, I fold my legs and I do this. That's me communicating that,
I'm not interested.
I'm not interested
or I'm actually focused, start speaking.
And I mean, I read something about studies just saying when you do that, you're showing that you're closed, you're not receptive, you're not warm, you're not taking in what the other person says.
Yeah.
So you actually projecting to say that, listen, whatever you actually telling me is not important to me, or I'm going to be defensive right now. I'm going to defend. I may not say it, but I'm acting it. Right? So body language is a big thing. So
yeah, no, I totally agree with you. But I think with non-verbal communication, right, it's got just like verbal communication where we're saying the tone matters, how you say it, when you say it matters. I think non-verbal also has its place and its time.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it then ties to passive aggression.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then there are times where you're not communicating how you feel. And sometimes there's this man who has no idea, or this woman has no idea what they did, right?
Yeah.
And they're probably trying to calculate in their head, like, okay, what did I do? Where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
And you're just not communicating. I think it's better to sort of say, I'm not happy with what just happened, but can we speak about it a bit later?
Yeah.
Or for the other person, if they do get to notice, do ask. Because I think there are times where you find people just being distant and also being moody because they're like, oh, you're moody, I'm also moody. And then it becomes a cycle, right? So the other person should also be able to ask, right?
Yeah,
so the partner should be able to say, hi, I'm noticing that you're not okay today.
Yeah, that's true.
For me, there's so many times that my husband does that. If I've had a very busy, stressful day at work and I'm just not okay, right? He'd be like, babe, are you okay today? Or what's going on? Are you fine? So for me, it's paying attention to each other, but also the other person being able to share that I'm actually not fine.
Yeah.
It allows the other person to give you space. It allows them to not start thinking wild of all the so many things they could have done on this special day. So I think it's important for both verbal and non-verbal communication to be done right.
Yeah. And I guess just on a point of passive aggression, right? Maybe let's just break down, give examples of what that could be, right? So passive aggression is, when you communicating something without actually saying it. So it could be, I could say something like, oh, I really like your dress today, but, you normally don't dress nicely. But I'm throwing
thank you, but
like I'm being aggressive passively, right? So I'm giving you a compliment, but I'm also like bringing you down. Or it could be me stonewalling and maybe like I'm just avoiding you, and like I get home or we're at a party, you're just avoiding this person. And you're being aggressive passively, even just your mood, your tone, everything about you, just showing, okay, this, you just get a bad vibe about this person. You can just see that, they haven't said anything explicitly. Yeah. Right. And they can even be defensive. Like even in that example where you'd be like, no, I actually didn't like the comment you said that I normally don't dress well. But no, the person be like, no, but I complimented you. I told you that you...
Yeah, and then you look like a fool.
You look like a fool, right? They're being passive-aggressive. You look like a fool. Yeah. They're being defensive. Say, no, but I told you look nice.
And
but
you're like...
But they gave you a bad compliment. Actually, that's what they're meant to do, right?
I hear you.
So it's actually someone trying to, trying to get a point across to you in an aggressive way, but they're trying to make it look like, they're not being aggressive, or they're trying to hide or mask around or dodging or skirting around the issue.
So wouldn't that be like sarcasm, right?
Yeah, sarcasm as well.
Isn't it like sarcasm as well?
That's
like
another way.
My husband used to say, I'm sarcastic at times. But
that's passive aggression as well.
I think with sarcasm, it's there, right? It's a similar thing, where you trying to... Like someone asks you something and because you're mad at them, but you don't want to say you're mad at them, you respond in a certain way with a very bad vibe. Yeah. But you're responding and they can't really say you didn't respond. Yeah. But they know because they love you, they've been married to you, that you didn't respond in the right manner. Yeah. Right? And they can't necessarily, it's like good morning. My mom always says, I know you guys and you know each other. Yeah. The way you say good morning when you're happy is not the way you say good morning when you're unhappy. Yeah. So don't, like when I ask you why you're being moody today, don't come and say, but I did say good morning. Yeah, that's because now I can't argue with you because yes, you did say good morning, but it's in how you said it.
That's the thing.
Right? So like attitude matters as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing with being passive aggressive. It's because you're not explicitly doing something, you're sort of hiding behind, something, easy for you to be defensive and you're actually dodging the issue. So I think one way is, first of all, to overcome this is you need to first of all, accept that you're doing it, be aware of it, right? And, actually try and deal with the issue. You're better off speaking your mind and just saying
how you
feel, be honest, open, and transparent, and have a conversation with the person than try being passive aggressive. Right.
Yeah.
So if maybe, you and me, had an argument yesterday and I claim to have gotten over it, right? But then today I'm just, being all moody or being passive aggressive, then I actually wasn't over it.
That's actually a good point.
I wasn't over it. So I'm being passive.
Yeah.
I'm masking, because I agreed and said I'm over it, but then I'm just like,
but you're not.
Yeah. So, you're like, good morning, babe. You used to think, good morning.
Exactly. I think that's a good point, right? Because sometimes that's another thing, guys, in marriage. If you agree that we're fine, if you agree that we've resolved this issue, move on. Right? It's really unfair to the other person who thinks we've moved on from it to consistently speak about it over and over again. And part of it is, I learned that there's a difference between a sorry and an apology, right? Yeah. So when you've wronged the other person or when you've wronged each other, truly apologize. And an apology looks like owning up. It looks like being honest with yourself, introspection. It looks like I realized that I was wrong in this area, and this is what I was wrong at. This is what I'm doing to make sure I don't do it again. And let your actions follow your words. Because sometimes people become passive aggressive because they feel like we've gone through this path before. Like, you've told me that you're sorry before, but you do this every day, right? And it makes it very difficult for them to know in which state should I wake up in today, right? Because I don't know what mood you're in. So I think it's very important in marriage to learn to have an apology, right? Not just a sorry. To also learn when you agree that we're moving away from something, truly move away from it, right? And do not, and part of effective communication is not having to consistently refer to the past that you truly said, I've moved away from this. That you truly spoke about and tried to resolve, because you end up being in this vicious cycle, just not being able to really end things properly and consistently coming. Like you end up not even knowing why you're arguing. It's now just offense. It's not just bitterness. It's not just anger. You know, that's why it's important to fix your things. Fix your things. But yeah, I thought I should say that.
Okay. Awesome.
But and I mean, babe, another thing that I also want us to touch on towards closing, right, is we're quite busy. All right. We are at the peak of our careers. We are chasing the bag. We're after it. Okay, listen.
The bag that keeps on running and you keep running after it.
The pace.
Like, the pace moves faster.
So, I mean, how do we spice up our communication? How do we get to that point where we keep having the right communication levels? I know we don't always get it right, but I know you're at the top of this.
So I think for me, it's about intentionality, right? So one thing, about our current day and age, and God bless, the digital age, is, we've got this device, we've got phones, right? And we're in a long distance relationship, and this is what sustained our relationship, right? So I talk to you over the phone every day, etc. But I mean, I think I say this in our last episode, right? But being in a long distance relationship, I'm not able to fully communicate with you. It's not just about the words we're speaking about on the phone, right? I need to experience you. I need to have that time with you where I can communicate with you. We talked about the non-verbal communication as well, in a good way as well in a relationship. When I see you smile and I see you, agreeing to what I'm saying, I see your eyes light up. That's communication. It creates that bond between us, right? So in a busy world, it's so easy to think you're communicating and speaking to each other. It's like having the long distance relationship, but you're still in the same house.
Hectic.
You're communicating, but you're not communicating, right? So I think it's about being intentional. It's about slowing down. I think I think when we got married, we were encouraged to have date nights. 5 years into marriage, I actually understand why that's important, right? So we'd have a busy week. work is stressing you and you'll be trying to meet all these deadlines and it's all about work. Yes, I'll speak to you. How's your day? Work was hectic today. This is what happened. This is what I'm trying to get done. But I actually don't know how you're doing. Right? Or we could be talking about all the plans we want to do. We want to fix this in the house, or we need to buy this tomorrow, or we need to go do this, or let's do the chores tomorrow, or let's, we're planning things, but we're not actually communicated. So I think we need to be more intentional in slowing down, right? Finding each other and saying,
I love it.
How are you really doing? Yeah. I noticed the other day you said work is stressful. What's going on?
Like what's stressing you?
What's stressing you? Is it really work? Is it other things? And I get to connect with you at a deeper level, right? And also just, yes, we can chat and have fun in passing or even after work. That's great, but we actually need to be intentional to do it. So yes, it should be organic. Definitely let it be organic. Your relationship should get to a point where these things come naturally. But when you're more intentional about doing it, about taking time to pause and communicate, to laugh, to talk deeply and get each other, that's what's important. And I think that's what sustains the relationship. Yeah.
No, I totally agree with you, babe. And that, I think, for me, it's the slowing down and also the part that we speak about work. Like one thing about us is we will speak about his work, my work. I know all his workmates. Okay, I know all of your names. He knows all of my workmates' names. Like we speak to that extent. Yeah. Like there's you meet someone, you're just now placing the face to the name. I know the kind of work he does. I can pitch to clients some of the work he does, not because I truly understand it, but because I've learned so much about that work from him, And for me, there's a lot of benefits to marrying somebody that you can communicate with. And being in corporate is such a blessing. Yeah. Doing business together is such a blessing. So it's as busy as it is, you can always find ways to keep your marriage alive, to keep each other going.
Yeah.
To keep each other interested, even in your work. Sometimes I look forward to going to work just because my husband is going to drive me and I'm going to speak to him, right? So it makes my entire work day amazing and great.
Yeah, it's true.
So, yeah. That's awesome. So I want us to answer a question in closing. Okay. There was a question that someone asked, right?
Okay.
So
let's go for it.
The person said, can men pick up on a woman's sadness as a form of communication? That was the one question I received on communication. So if you've noticed in these episodes, I've been answering questions that people have been asking. So when I ask you to put in your questions, put them there.
Get the questions in.
Get the questions in. So I get to pick one question for each episode.
Answered,
Exactly. Okay. I get to pick a question for each episode. And so this was the question somebody asked. What do you think, babe?
So just repeat the question again.
So they're saying, can men pick up on a woman's sadness as a form of communication?
Ooh, that's a tricky one, but I think yes, right? I think yes, because I think overall, in terms of our relationship, you're generally very bubbly.
Yeah.
Right? You're generally very bubbly and you're always happy, you're always smiling. But when you're not yourself and I notice you're sad, right, that signals something to me, right? It may not be me, right? It could be something else, right?
Yeah.
But that's just a signal to say that, listen, my wife is not okay, right? And I need to reach out, right? So hence I'll come and say, hey, babe, is everything okay today, right? You might be like, no, everything's good, don't worry about it. But I can tell, and I'll keep on pushing until I understand, till I understand what it is, right? So in effect, like I did say earlier, it's not just about your verbal communication, but your body language, right? Exactly. And if I know you well from your body language, I'll be able to pick up to say that
you're not fine.
You're not fine, you're not yourself. So I would say yes. So yes, when you said naturally your body language is going to change, you're not going to be yourself. In that, by you doing that, you're actually communicating something. So it may not be something to do with your partner or your spouse, right? It could be family, it could be work, it could just be yourself. but you communicating to say, I'm not in a good place. So and then I guess that's why you're in a relationship. Whether your partner can help you through it, I guess that's a conversation for another day. But you have communicated to them to say that you're not in a good place, and any reasonable partner will definitely reach out and try to have a conversation with you. I try at least understand what's going on.
Yeah, totally agree with you, babe. And I think sometimes it's not even trying to understand, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's just doing what you like, just try to make them happy or help them to come out of that mode. And if they are ready, then they will share, right? Because sometimes that's what happens. And if I tell you guys, whether you're single or you're married, marriage for me is amazing. If you are with somebody who is a friend, somebody you can communicate with, someone you can tell anything, right? Someone you can literally be yourself without any sense of judgment or feeling like they're frowning on you or you can't cry in their face. And that for me is what makes marriage so amazing. We were having this discussion the other time that I was telling him that, babe, one thing I love about marriage is I know that even when I'm struggling, I'm just not the only person going through exactly what I'm going through. And for me, that's the beauty of marriage. You have your partner who's going through exactly what you're going through because you're one.
That's true.
So I think that's where sometimes in marriage, you end up having those arguments because we are one. And what affects you ultimately affects me.
That's true.
If you take the wrong route, right, and then it affects us, I have to be invested, right? Because the output, the product of whatever happens to you ultimately affects me. And that's why we get so invested, let's say in when we're trying to resolve difficult conversations, having those difficult situations. And we were speaking about it the other time that can you actually ever tell me if you're no longer attracted to me? Those are all the things that you start looking at, right? That can you really? But it's in the ability to be friends and the ability to speak to each other.
That's true.
Like when I'm not happy, be like, okay, babe, check this. Right. And we're good.
Yeah. And I guess the basis of any marriage is friendship, right? So before you became my girlfriend, you're my friend, right?
Yeah.
And even then, girlfriend, you are my friend, right? And that then got elevated into fiance, into wife. But the foundation of that is friendship.
You're saying you elevated me?
I'm saying our relationship grow and move into the next dimension, right?
You're even explaining yourself.
Sorry, not that I elevated you. Apologies. Sorry, so it came out that way.
I'm joking.
But yeah, I think that's what most people forget, most married couples forget, that this all started by you being friends. This all started by you communicating that I want to be your friend. I think as kids, it was quite simple. You actually go ask someone, do you want to be my friend? Right? You communicated your intention to be friends, right? As adults, I have to communicate and say, do you want to be my girlfriend? Right? And then you have to communicate and say, yes, I want to be your girlfriend. So it all started with the communication, and and for it to continue, you still need to keep on communicating. So communication was the beginning, and that's what keeps the relationship and marriage going.
Yes. On that note, I can add, I can subtract. Thank you, baby. This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for subscribing. I absolutely love you guys. Please do comment in the comment section. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to share with anybody who needs this. I believe everybody needs to learn about communication. It's been an amazing conversation with my lovely, tall, dark, and handsome husband. So thank you, baby, for being here.
No, thank you for having me. Definitely enjoyed communicating with you today.
Loved it. Thanks, everybody.
So much fun. Yeah. Bye, everyone.